today we are with Richard, aka Moggy from Electric Classic Car. We are in Wales, Great Britain, to discover this fantastic 912. So, Richard, tell us everything about this Porsche.
Oh, I'll try. This is generation 1 911 912 body shape. This is, I believe, a 1968 example, beautifully restored. This came to us already pre-restored, and then this client just wanted essentially our standard 911 kit dropping in. Okay. And I say standard because we also have a performance kit as well, which has the large Tesla drive units, but this has the small Tesla drive unit, which is plenty enough power in a little car like this.
So let's rewind a little bit. You do conversion, but you also do complete systems that are bolt-on for the trade specialists to install.
That's right.
On this occasion, you did the whole
yeah, so we do conversions, as you can see behind me here. We're a full-on conversion shop. We've done around about 80 conversions now, been in business since 2015. But as well as doing conversions, based on our huge experience of doing the conversions, we also sell a lot of bolt-in kits, and that's essentially what's in here. We ship a lot of kits to international clients in the States, in Australia, New Zealand, all around the world essentially, and these are bolt-in kits. They include everything you need, from the wiring loom, low voltage, high voltage looms, all connectors done, battery boxes, instrumentation, all bench tested and spun up here before they're put in the crate and gone. And that's essentially what's gone into this car, is one of our standard 911 bolt-in kits. The only difference with the 911 and the 912 is the engine mounts at the back. Because it's a 4-cylinder car in the 912, the engine mounts are a little bit further forward, about a foot further forward, and that's the only difference really between the 911 kit and the 912 kit.
Could you take us through the process of designing a complete system for a car, not just a one-off, but when you actually start thinking about doing several systems?
Yeah, that's a complicated process, because what you're trying to do there is you're trying to take the initial custom requirements of the first car stroke client for that car, and at the same time balance it with the repeatability that you want to have going forward for the kits. So it's quite an iterative process to design a kit. Because there's certain compromises where you would, have with a kit going forward rather than a complete just one-off. Because if you're doing a one-off, you can do lots of custom, complicated battery boxes with customs, but with conversion kits, they need to be generic because it's got to work in different types of cars, left-hand drive, right-hand drive, different versions in things like Minis, for instance. There's 3 different marks of Minis, a Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, and any kit kind of needs to work in all of those different platforms. So it's a lot more complicated to do a kit than a one-off.
Does the kit always start with a one-off, or do you figure there is a market in certain models of cars and then you will get cracking at designing a system?
Yeah, it normally starts with a customer car. I mean, we're not, we have a wealth of experience converting cars. We're not just an engineering company that is designing a kit around one car. We've probably already designed and converted a number of cars previously, and our conversion kits are based off that experience. So yeah, it normally starts with a repeatable car. We wouldn't, for instance, we've done a Gordon Keeble, which a lot of people, especially in the States, wouldn't know what that is. It's a very rare car, there's about 99 of them built. We didn't bother designing a kit around that car because probably not going to be done again. But a 911 stroke 912, loads of them about. Beetles, campers, Land Rovers, Minis, Testarossas even, that's behind me here. We do Testarossa kits as well, which is a bit bizarre. So yeah, you start with a one-off car, but you kind of always converting a car when you're designing a kit with one eye on the future as to how many repeatable orders are there in the future to come off this kit.
And what's fantastic, as you said, on this system between the 911 and 912, the only difference is the brackets for the
totally, yeah. System. I'll show you the rear, because the rear looks all the same. I mean, open up the engine lid here now, or engine lid is the motor lid now. But yeah, this would look exactly the same in a 911 as it would in a 912. The only difference is, I don't know if you can get down there, but that mounting point down there, where my finger is there, that's different on a 912. With a 911, that mounting point is around about down there, because you've got an extra bank of cylinders.
So, first of all, do you provide system to the trade only, or to
Correct. Yeah, we don't do DIY for two reasons really. The overhead of support is huge. We've done it in the past, and no matter how much somebody says, "Oh, I'm an expert, I can do it myself," etc., invariably they'll need support, which is fine, but some of the support for the DIY is a bit extreme. So from a business point of view, it's not great to do DIY conversions, but also from an insurance point of view, our insurance company doesn't like us selling to people that might not be qualified in the safety aspects of doing electric car conversion.
All right. The traders you use, do you train them? Do you give them special certification? Or they...
Yeah, so they normally come over for a little bit of training and a bit of knowledge transfer. But our kits are designed to be pretty much bolt-in. So there is very little they need to know other than just the basic electric vehicle safety aspects of, orange cables are high voltage, don't touch this, etc., etc. So it's fairly basic knowledge that they'll need, because all of our conversion kits are literally bolt-in. So all the cables are cut, all the battery packs are sealed and programmed already. The motors are already pre-programmed and bench tested. There's no calibration, just bolt it in, connect up the cables, press it, click it on, and off you go.
So in theory, a classic car garage could install your system.
Correct.
Yeah. Just need a high voltage training, which could take a day or two, and then get cracking.
Which is different in different countries. The level of training that you can get in different countries, and the qualifications, if you like, are different in Europe as they are in the US, or different in Australia, etc., etc. So, but yeah, it's a very simple, process to convert a car with one of our kits, because in the UK they have to be bolt-in because of the regulations, which makes it ideal to make it simple to get converting that car with our kit in, say, America, where you can cut and weld and drill holes and stuff, but we can't do that in the UK.
But what I also like in your systems, they are fully reversible.
Totally,
because you're not cutting anything. You just bolt.
I'll show you in the front. I mean, the front. It's the other thing that I like about the 911 kits as well is we can address some of the weight distribution challenges, let's say, that's in a 911. So we've improved the weight distribution. Although the 912 weight distribution was better than the 911 because obviously the engine was lighter in the back. So this actually ends up being exactly the same weight distribution as the 912, which is a good weight distribution, better than the 911, as I said. It had a heavier engine at the back, but it weighs totally the same as the 911. So the weight's gone up from a 912 to a 911 weight, but the weight distribution is pretty much the same as the 912. That's front battery pack. The rear battery pack is exactly the same size, and you'll notice it's the same shape as well. So that's another thing for ease of manufacturing for us. The rear and front battery packs are the same basic box. It's a 62 kilowatt hour battery pack that's in this, and it comes with things like CCS charging. You can have air conditioning. It's got cruise control, traction control, all the things you'd expect from any modern EV conversion, really.
Do you offer different battery pack sizes?
Not for the 911, no, that's pretty much it. The only thing we do offer that's different is the size of the motor in the back. But as you'll find out when we go for a quick spin in a minute, this has got plenty enough power. And this is the small Tesla drive unit in the rear. But we also do a large Tesla drive unit for cars like that second generation G-body 911 over there that have the wider arches at the back. If they really want that performance, they can go for that. But this has got plenty of punch.
And before we go through the powertrain, you just mentioned CCS, which is almost a revolution in the conversion world. How much of a challenge is it to bring CCS?
So we've had CCS, so that Land Rover over there, which is mine, that was probably the first vehicle we did with CCS a couple of years back. Yeah, I mean, all the because we're kind of on the cutting edge of the conversion market, if you like. We're always pushing that boundary of adding new technology and new things into all the cars. CCS is something we did 2 years ago, and it's definitely revolutionised it. I mean, if you've got a Land Rover Defender like this one behind you, which is a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, you really want that to be rapid charged up. You know, it's too big a battery pack just to charge up off a 7 kilowatt charger, for instance. But then, you know, more lately we've pushed the boundary further. We've got V2L that we've had now for the last year, I think. And we're going to be pushing that into V2H and V2G, which is vehicle to home, vehicle to grid, so that you can actually power your house off your classic converted car. So that's something we're working on right now. So yeah, we like to make it difficult for ourselves and you know, keep on pushing that boundary. Yeah, but we're engineers, we like to tinker.
Yeah, so. And that's how you stand out and how you lead the pack, really. Is
it's not easy.
We'll offering an NACS charge port will be an option in the future.
NACS is something that we're looking at right now.
Okay, perfect.
There's a client in the US which is ready to start testing that.
Yeah, which is impressive because many of the OEMs still don't offer it right now, so you'll be one of the first ones to offer it.
What's weird is right now we've got a friend of mine that's driving a Land Rover Defender from northern Sweden down to Barcelona, and he's been charging mainly on the supercharger network and, you know, some of the rapids on the way down there, so, you know, 3,500 kilometre journey. And he's stopped off at a few charge points where, you know, somebody has said in a Jaguar I-Pace, oh, this one doesn't work, we couldn't get it to work, and he's pulled up and it worked for him. So our conversions seem to be better than some of the OEMs at charge success at the moment.
Okay. Let's go back to the drivetrain. Let's go through each component, motor, inverter, and why you choose each component.
Sure. So on the 911 or the 912s, we've got a Tesla drive unit in the rear, buried underneath.
Yeah.
And essentially, all of this is held in onto the existing mounting points that there were for the engine and gearbox. Okay. So there's a cradle that holds the motor in place and the battery pack. We've gone for a Tesla small drive unit in this, as I say, which is plenty of punch, but it's a nice fit in there. Okay. And we use a company called EV Controls for the motor controls, which is a fantastic system. We've tried all of the control systems out there for the Teslas on the market, and, you know, right the way from open source stuff at the beginning, right the way through to there's probably about 5 different manufacturers out there. The EV Controls T2T stuff is head and shoulders above everybody else as far as the smoothness, and the reason is because essentially it's fooling the motor into still thinking it's in a Tesla.
Okay.
So the drive feel and the way it transitions to the regenerative braking and all that, it's so smooth. It's like you're in a Tesla because the motor still thinks it's in a Tesla.
Is, yeah.
And that's what I like about that system. So yeah, you've got the charger on top, so there's a 7 kilowatt charger on top. This is half of the battery pack here. You've got a header tank here. Obviously, you know, some people might think, why is there a header tank for coolant? Well, you need coolant with electric cars twice, because you need one for the motor and inverter, and you also need one for the battery pack as well, especially if you're going to be rapid charging it. So there's one header tank here and there's one buried in the corner there. And then, as I say, underneath is the motor system. I don't know if you can probably get your camera.
Maybe we can put this on the
lift. There you go.
later on.
You can see it there?
Oh yes, yeah.
There you go.
Nice and tidy. Do you have to rethink the suspension when you convert a car?
It depends. We always corner weight a car before they get converted, and then once we've taken all the dirty, smelly stuff out, the engine, gearbox, etc., we corner weight it again because we want to see where we can put the weight back on. And then after it's been converted, we corner weight it again. So once it's been completed, we corner weight it, because then we can figure out, do we need to change the suspension and shocks?
Okay.
So on this we have had to change the suspension and shocks because it's got from a 912 weight to a 911 weight. So we've had to uprate the torsion bars, but also the shocks.
Okay.
But on a lot of cars we do that, and, you know, Ferrari Testarossas to Beetles, especially when you're changing the weight distribution, you definitely have to do it.
Okay.
But we always think it's a good idea to upgrade the suspension anyway, because you're upgrading the drivetrain. Why not upgrade the suspension a little bit as well, and if possible, the brakes?
Yes, that leads us to regen and then the original brakes.
Yeah.
How do you balance the regen and the friction brakes?
Tuning.
Okay.
So a lot of people think, if you're sticking such a powerful engine into a car, surely you're going to have to upgrade the brakes. Yes and no. Because obviously when you're sticking a powerful electric motor in the back, you've also got regenerative braking happening as well. But if the regenerative braking is happening on the rear wheels, well, that's not so good if you've got too much regen.
Yeah.
So you have to tune the regen to the car that you're putting it on, according to the weight and the balance, etc. But also, if you're changing the brakes and putting bigger disc brakes on, you have to change the brake bias according to what the regen's doing. So we quite often will put a bias valve on the brake system, as well as tuning the regen down. And another great thing about the T2C EV control system is to tune the regen, it's just a little bit of a slider.
Okay.
That's it. You go into the app and you slide that regen down, try it, and you've got to try it in heavy braking, wet weather, full battery, empty battery. You've got to do some proper testing. But because we've done so many of these cars now, we already have a default system setting that we know what we're going to use.
And when you provide the kit to a trade specialist, do you also tell them which is the best way to tune the system? And then
they're already pre-tuned. Because if it's a kit, that means that we've done many of those cars already.
Okay.
Therefore, we have a good setup saved that we just put in, job done. They don't need to play around with the settings. They can if they want. They can put the power up, they can put the power down, they can change things about if they wanted to, but invariably those are already preset.
Okay. And going back to the powertrain, do you get about 200 kilowatt? How much power do you get out of it? Do you use the full potential, or you tune it down significantly?
Again, it depends on the car. I mean, if you're going to
in this particular
in this particular car, we've tuned it down a little bit, so it's probably about 2/3 the power that it could be.
Okay.
But that's mainly because the stock and standard wheel and tire setup that's on this, you just simply wouldn't be able to get the power down. Obviously, you've got traction control as well in there to help out, but you don't want to have too much power for what the car can cope with.
All right, Richard, I think we've talked enough of the car.
Enough talking, time to drive.
Going back to this 912, do you reckon the 912 is a perfect base to be converted?
The perfect base of a car to get converted is purely based off the customer's choice. Yeah. I mean, there are certain cars which are easier and better to convert, I think, than others. A 912. It depends. Are you talking about the technicalities of converting? Because if you're talking about, what's the easiest car to convert, I'd probably say something like a VW Beetle or a Fiat 500.
No,
Simple.
I meant between the 911 and the 912 same year. Potentially the value of a 912 is less important. So
we can't say that. You can't say a 912 is less important.
I mean, 15 years ago, nobody knew about 912 outside of the Porsche world.
The 912s used to be so cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, I was into and still am into 914s. And the 914 and the 912 were just unloved Porsches. You could pick them up so cheap. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now, I mean, 912 is probably still a little bit cheaper than a 911. Yeah. But, the 912, it was underpowered. But I think the 912, the first generation, if you like, handled better than the 911. Yeah. Because the 911 had a little bit more weight at the back, which, I'm not a fan of. So it was a nicely balanced car, I thought, and some of the car journalists back in the day thought the same. But it was just a little bit underpowered. Yeah. But it's definitely not now. I mean, if I put my foot down now...
And budget-wise, by the time you've restored a 912 or a 911, it's pretty much the same amount. Yeah. And I imagine the conversion system is about the same price anyway?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. I mean, because the body of a 912 is exactly the same as the body as a 911. fundamentally. There's a couple of very small changes. So you're right, restoring one is going to be the same price as 911, and the kit is essentially the same as well.
So we're here on the fantastic Welsh road and almost dry, so that's quite fantastic.
Almost dry. It's
Look at the view though.
damp.
Yeah.
Damp and slippy. How a rally driver likes it.
So you said you still rally drive your Porsche? You still have the Porsche?
No, I sold it because it was built specifically around the regulations of classic rallying, and I stopped doing that 7 years ago now. So yeah, I sold it back to somebody who wanted to continue racing in that championship.
Okay.
But this is the longest period of time I've ever not raced a car or had a race license. In fact, I have a race license back now. So I've got the itch again now, which is why I'm building that Pikes Peak race car.
Which we'll cover in another video.
Oh yeah, you like that. I can't take you out for a spin in that though, because that's a single seater.
Yeah. But going back to rallying, unfortunately, you cannot race an electric car or convert it to electric car
Not a
nowadays.
convertible.
Yeah.
No, you can rally an electric car, and we covered one on our YouTube channel about electric Opel Corsa.
Yeah.
It was good car for rallying, lots of torque. But a converted car, no, the regulations simply aren't there yet.
Okay. So yeah, something to looking forward to. Yeah. All right, Richard, this was quite a drive. Thank you so much.
You like that?
Yeah. So off camera, you were telling me this car and every single car you manufacture are equipped with traction control.
Yeah, so the system that we use to control the Tesla motor, that EV Controls T2C, it comes with features as standard like cruise control, for instance, and we put traction control on as well as part of that package, and it just helps a classic car like this with a little bit more power with that Tesla motor to stick on the tarmac rather than the ditch.
Okay. I also noticed when I opened my door, the car started beeping like a brand new car. What's up with that?
Yeah, well, I have to apologise for that, but we build our cars and our conversions and our kits to a regulation in Europe called R100. So that includes, a number of features, like for instance, if you still left it in forward or reverse and you open up the door, it bleeps at you. But there's certain safety standards that are a good thing, I think, and that we build our kits to a standard is only a good thing, I think.
Fantastic. So let's remind our viewers where to get all of you, and you also have a fantastic YouTube channel, so let's mention it.
Yeah, so if you want to check out more of our builds and what we do here at Electric Classic Cars, check out our website, electricclassiccars.com, or go to any of our socials. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube channel as well, Electric Classic Cars. So I'll hopefully see you there.
Perfect. Thank you.